What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Corvette Weekly. Welcome back to the Corvette Hangout, basically. This is something we do every single Monday night. So every week we will have a Corvette Weekly show. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's me plus Brandon and David. Sometimes it's a special guest. We try to keep things fresh here and drop as much actual knowledge or Corvette talk as possible. So we typically cover rumors, maintenance items, ownership experiences. Basically, if it's Corvette you want, Corvette you shall get right here, guys. So welcome back to Corvette Weekly. Like I said, I see a lot of the green names popping up over here in the chat. That's awesome. Professor Corvette says, whoa, early start. Actually, this was a right on time kind of start. Whenever it's just me, I'm able to control what time I get on here a little bit better than whenever there's a bunch of people involved. So yeah, we're here. And guys, yeah, right off the bat, since I see them popping in here, forgelite Wheels is in the house because they are the sponsor of tonight's and all June Corvette Weeklies. You can see it right there. forgelite Wheels is the sponsor for the month of June, which means one thing: awesome giveaways. So be prepared, guys. We're going to be doing a giveaway every single week in the month of June for forgelite. forgelite makes some of the highest quality wheels I've ever experienced. You guys know how I feel about them. If you've seen them on my car, you probably feel the same way because they are seriously high quality and seriously look fantastic on the actual C8 Corvette. So yeah, Brandon right off the bat is talking about their them having magnesium offerings. Stay tuned for that. I might just be putting a set of those on my car here very soon. Let's see. Jeff Zippity, what's up, man? Jay Brazelton, yes, while you're on time. How about that, man? I didn't think we were missing the time that often, but apparently we are. Let's see. Happy Monday. Yep. Guys, one of the best things to look forward to on a Monday. I used to hate Mondays, but now it's such a good time to just come in here and hang out with you guys. I freaking love Mondays. Yeah, so Charles says, simply a technical masterpiece, go ZR1. And that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about tonight, guys, is going to be all of the early reviews coming in on the ZR1. And really none of them saying anything bad. So there's a lot to unpack with the reviews. If you've seen the videos, there's a lot of stuff kind of behind the scenes that's happening that you might not have seen. We're going to talk about a lot of it tonight. All of it just elevates the ZR1 even higher than what you think it already is. So if you've seen the reviews and you think this car is incredible, just wait. We got a lot of stuff to talk about that you probably missed in some of those videos. And like I said, it makes it even cooler. But let's see here. I barely watched the Top Gear review. Honestly, there was something about, as soon as I turned it on, I just wasn't impressed with the way it was all put together. So I actually didn't watch much of that, but it sounds like I didn't miss anything. Yeah, and it gets even better for 26. Yeah, that's the thing. So last week we talked a little bit about the fact that I did have a 2025 allocation for a ZR1 that I passed on because they said that at the time ZTK package wasn't going to be available. And a lot of people were saying about, you know, asking me if I felt like I missed out or missed a good opportunity. Really, I don't think so. I want to buy the car and I want to drive the car just like I have my Z06. I'm not buying it to flip it or anything like that. I'm buying it for me. So getting the car with the 2026 interior, number one, will feel like I've gotten something new. But number two, will make it less rare than the 2025 and will mean that I can actually drive it without devaluing it. So I think that's the best case scenario. Plus, with it being all updated and everything, it's going to feel better to me that I'm buying a $200,000 Corvette. So yeah, I think that's the way to go. But anyway, guys, let's talk real quick about the forgelite sponsorship for the month. Like I said, they are the sponsor for the entire month of June, so you're going to hear me talking a lot about forgelite, and rightfully so. If you guys, like I said, if you guys haven't seen their wheels, they make some incredible wheels, and we're going to show you some of them right now. So if you go to the forgelitewheels.com website, we can actually go right to wheels up at the top, and we can take a look at some wheels here. Now, if you guys don't know, the SV series is the wheel that I have on my car currently. It's the SV00. You click on that right there, and that's going to show you the wheel exactly as it would be on your car. Now, you can customize these guys, whatever colors you want, whatever, you know, if you want those the words and stuff on the wheel filled in with a different color, you can. And plus, it's not paint. This is actually powder coat, so it's much stronger and deals with rock chips and stuff like that a lot better than a painted wheel would. So a lot of benefits to these, outside of the fact that my set is 16 pounds lighter than the stock forged wheel. If you want to go something even crazier, like, you know, Brandon's always going on his crazy adventure to try to get his car as light as possible, so he went with a magnesium wheel setup. Well, Forgelite actually has a magnesium wheel setup as well. And like I said, you're going to be seeing those on the channel here. So I went with the MG01 wheels, which if you look at those, they're going to look pretty similar to the SV00s because I really like that wheel design. The only difference here is these are actually going to weigh the same amount or less than the carbon fiber wheels that GM offered for the C8 Z06. Yeah, these are going to be just as light, if not lighter, and they're stronger. And you can get them to fit the car perfectly with the perfect offset. You can get them powder coated whatever color you want. They have really awesome center caps that are basically, I think they're 4-piece center caps that have real carbon fiber back plates. And I mean, it's just, this is the next level wheel for sure. If you guys want that next level experience, these wheels are it. These wheels will drop almost, I think it was 50 or 60 pounds off of the stock forged wheels. So I mean, you can't beat that. The rotational mass that you're going to save with magnesium wheels from Forgelite is going to be absolutely insane. And trust me, like I said, expect the video here soon. I'm going to weigh all the wheels. I'm going to show you exactly what the benefits are. But the giveaway for tonight is a $1,000 gift certificate to Forgelite wheels. So $1,000. You're going to be able to win $1,000 off that particular wheel or whatever wheel you want to buy. It's $1,000 off their website. Now, the really cool thing here is we're doing the $1,000 off each week. So technically you could potentially win $4,000 off these wheels. Every week there's going to be $1,000 gift certificate given away. So as usual, guys, if you're interested in jumping in and winning the $1,000 gift certificate that we will give away at the end of the show tonight, every $10 is an entry, $50 or more is double entries. You can donate right through the super chat here or at the pinned link at the top of the chat through the Venmo. However you want to donate, you will be entered. So keep that in mind as we talk about everything else tonight, guys. If you want to get in on the $1,000 off, enter in. And like I said, you can win more than once. So technically you could win $4,000 off these wheels. Let's see. Well, E-Ray San, like I said, you might be able to win them even more than 1,000 off. So we're going to be doing one each week. You could potentially win 4,000. Brent says, does each entry count for each week? No, so every week will be a new set of entries. Looks like we got Charles in at $100 already, so he's going to be in for 20 entries. Charles, you are now in for 20 entries. And yeah, you can technically get $1,000 for $10. You get one entry, $10. No, Brandon, if you were to donate $50, you would be entered in for tonight only. This particular Monday night. So every Monday night will be a new refresh. So we got Charles in for $100. Oof, we got some big ones coming in already, guys. That's awesome. So let me write these down here. Charles is in for 20. And then we got some big ones going in here. And actually, Jamie, Glass City Car Nerds in the house. What's up, man? I saw you were outside doing some yard work. I know why. It's the first day, nice day we've had in Pennsylvania in forever. So Jay Brazelton in for 200. So he's going to be in for 40 entries. He's leading the pack so far. Glass City Car Nerd is in for 10. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Let's keep this thing rolling. Like I said, every week is going to be another $1,000 off opportunity. So yeah, it could get crazy. It could get real crazy. Because like I said, if you win more than once, you can literally use that towards the set of the wheels. And if you guys remember, last month, who was it? I can't remember the name now. Someone actually won the giveaway twice in a row with the C8 Rally Driver. My mind has drawn a blank on the... on the name. I don't know why. But yeah, so E-Ray Nate, the last week of the month, the last Monday is going to be for the free memberships. So last Monday, make sure you're in here. You'll get entered for free. Mike says, Monday Night Crew, what's up? Jay, I got you in Venmo. Thank you for the support as always. You are leading the pack right now with 40 entries. Forgelite Wheel says, by the way, Magnesium MG01 is the lightweight spec. It's 17.8 pound in the front and 22.9 in the rear. Wow. Depending on the powder coat selected. So powder coat does obviously add a little bit of weight, but look at those weights. 17.8 in the front. The stock wheels in the front, I believe, are like 28 pounds. And in the rears, these magnesium wheels are going to be 22.9. The stock wheels in the rear are almost 34 pounds. Like, that's an incredible amount of weight that you're shaving off there with magnesium wheels. Plus the design. Like I said, the design of these things is fantastic. If you look at the look of this wheel by itself, obviously it won't necessarily be blue or purple like it is in the picture here. You can get it whatever color you want. Of course, mine are still going to be the satin black, but the wheel design is just incredible. And the fact that it's going to weigh as much, if not less, than the carbon fiber wheel offering from GM with a massive improvement in strength is incredible, guys. So, like I said, from the very beginning, Forgelite, they've been doing it right. As soon as I opened up the box of my Forgelite wheels that I have in my car currently, I knew as soon as I touched the wheel that this was a different quality of wheel than I was used to. Brandon says he's going to wait until the last week, then go in when everyone else is broke. That's a bad idea right now, Brandon, because now everybody knows your plan and they're going to do it the same time. And yeah, it was Kevin Reynolds. Yeah, he won. Well, you won. No, it wasn't you, Kevin. Somebody. I'm drawing a name. Oh, it was Riptide Rick. That's it. Yeah, Riptide Rick was the one that won 2 weeks in a row on the C8 rally driver stuff. He installed his race light hatch supports and carbon fiber strut covers. Nice. Shoot me some pictures of those, Rick. I want to see those. And there's the new emoji, guys. I don't know if you've seen this yet. And unfortunately, Dan and Maria are on vacation, so I don't know if they're on here right now or not. But if not, they're going to see this after the fact. That is their dog. So that is Coco, right next to a bottle of tequila. I had to put it in there because we're trying to, spice it up with the dog stuff. We got Onyx on there, and now Coco's in there as an emoji. So hopefully, Dan, Maria, if you guys watch this a little bit, I hope you see this because I added that in there. Waiting on this. Okay, so Kevin's still waiting on his carbon. I think you won the carbon fiber front cover, if I remember right. Anthony George sent Venmo. Let's take a look. All right, so Anthony is in for 10 entries. 10 entries, and let's see, do we get anybody else? Yep, Aaron Anderson's in for 10 as well. All right, we are caught up on that. So again, guys, thank you for the support as always. I'm definitely pumped to see whoever wins these because, I know, Aaron, your Cadillac look pretty freaking cool with a nice set of forge lights on there. Those wheels, you've seen the wheels on my car. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're incredibly good quality. Like I said, some of the highest quality I've ever seen. The only wheel company that I'd say forge light kind of mirrors as far as quality is concerned is HRE. And HRE wheels are insanely expensive and insanely good price. And forge light's right there with them. Oh, Charles won the front cover. Okay. Let's see. Hot Rod Todd says Coco sat next to me at the Bash new model presentation. She wasn't impressed either. Oh man, I love that emoji. It's too much. Yep. Who let the dogs out? Let's see. Yeah. Top Gear Review had Brighton struggling to find any would-be criticism. Yeah, I don't know why you would do that. Like, GM invited you in there to review the car. And yeah, if there's negatives to say about it, by all means, say the negatives. But don't go into it looking for the negatives. You know, I mean, go into it and experience that car for what it is. And if there is a negative to talk about it. But some people just, it's like they don't want America or American-made car to have anything. And we're going to talk about something that this particular American-made car has over a lot of other car manufacturers, and that is some craziness. We're going to be talking about that in a second. So don't go anywhere, guys. You're going to trust me. This is going to blow your hair back. Rally Roofer says the ZR1 Justin is going to be epic in the supercar world. Yes, it is. Coco snapped at me. She snaps at everybody. She was snapping at me, and I was like coming around. I was like 3 feet away still, and she was trying to bite at me. I was like, "You're not going to reach me." I would not say Haggerty was the best review. I would say Haggerty had the best. Oh man, what's the word? Presentation, editing. I think theirs was the best as far as that's concerned. They had definitely one of the best reviews too, but I don't know if it was the best one. I prefer something a little more personal than, I don't know, it's hard to word, but theirs was definitely very good. Chili Pepper says, I can't wait until the ZR1 is old news and we were freaking out about the next version. That's probably coming soon because somebody said that there's something dropping on June 16th, I think it said. And I'm kind of thinking it might be the Grand Sport on June 16th. Because I think June 16th is too early to talk about anything Zora related. I can't think of another variant that would be coming that we would be talking about this soon after the ZR1 other than a Grand Sport. Production quality. Thank you. And that's it right there. Brand's Garage says the only negative is that it's American, according to them. And that's really what it is. Yeah. Their editing makes it seem really awesome. Some of the personalities there, I'm not sure I'd love. You know, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with this. Kamisa says that it's too powerful for the street. I don't know that no. You know what? I wouldn't say it's too powerful for the street. What I would say, though, is that it's going to take a minute to really appreciate that power. So one of the things that was emphasized massively in all of these reviews was how approachable this car is. So if you've never driven a 1,000 horsepower car and you jump into this car, you're going to be okay. The car will take care of you for the most part. If you've never driven a 1,000 horsepower car and you jumped into a 1,000 horsepower Dodge Viper, you're not going to be okay. It won't take care of you. So that's the difference with what Corvette really does, is they allow you to drive the car even if you've never driven a car like that. And as you are driving it, you're learning about it, especially if you go to Ron Fellows. They'll literally teach you how to drive that car better. And I think that's fantastic by itself. Silver Reaper says, thanks to your advice, Justin, I am now over 1,100 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Thank you, brother. Absolutely, man. That's freaking awesome news. That is awesome news. So I remember whenever Silver Reaper first started coming on to these Monday Night Lives, I think you only had like 6 or 9 subs. Now you're at 1,100. That's awesome, man. Keep up the good work. Really good stuff. Bill Miller says no review was great, though they're all non-pro drivers, did great times on the track, shows how easily the car was to drive. Yeah, I agree. Professor Corvette says solar controller will solve the problem of too much power if you can handle it. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I really don't. I think that they're going to handle it just like they usually do. GM makes the cars always very approachable. You're going to get in the car, you're going to drive it. It's going to feel very much so like a Z06 until you're really in the throttle. Once you put that throttle to the floor and it starts really pulling, based on the review I saw from Cletus, you're going to feel the difference around 3,000 to 4,000 RPM is whenever it starts to really kick in. So if you're just driving around town in normal drive mode and tour mode, you're really not even going to notice the difference between that car and the Z06. It's going to drive very similar to that car. And we're going to talk more about why that is here in a second. But for the most part, you're driving a Z06 until you're past 60 miles an hour. Then all of a sudden, things are a little different. Now, of course, that's different. It's going to come on differently if your foot's to the floor too. So, but if you're just in normal drive mode, tour mode, driving around town, it's not going to feel any different than a Z06. And I think that's really, that needs to be acknowledged just as much as the fact that they managed to get 1,064 horsepower out of pump gas. Both of those things are incredibly impressive. Yeah, I switched lanes. I did actually start watching some of that, but I stopped watching whenever they were just consistently getting things wrong. Like little things. Like one of them were, they said that there was 1,064 megabytes or kilobytes in a megabyte. And I'm like, no, it's 1,024. But they were like talking about this stuff as if, it got difficult to watch because they were talking about a lot of facts that weren't right and stuff. Darren Burnett says the ZR1 is no doubt amazing, but I'm really leaning towards the next variant in all-wheel drive. See, that's one thing that I don't want. Believe it or not, I do not want an all-wheel drive Corvette. I think, number one, that adds too much weight, but number two, for me personally, it takes too much fun out of it. So that's one of the biggest things I don't like about the E-Ray is that it's all-wheel drive. I know that sounds weird because that's like the selling point, but I don't like that about it. I would rather the car be rear-wheel drive and just GM to find a magical way to make traction happen. And I'll be honest with you, they did with the ZR1. It's incredible. Some of the reviews that I'm seeing, some of the 0 to 60 times they're cracking off is faster than what GM even says the car's capable of, and it's not all-wheel drive. It's incredible. 1985 Wildside. Justin had a long talk with Chevy about my ZR1, and even though I'm doing mine in Seawolf and the rockers and wing are in restriction, they tell me they see no reason why it won't be built. Well, if you remember last week, we actually talked about how many cars were being built in what color, and there was something like 40 of them were being built in Seawolf Gray. So I kind of agree. They probably will build it for you. Seawolf is going away for 2026, but since that's obviously a 25, you should be okay. But it is listed as constraint right now, so it could go either way. Yeah, MDK says, surprised by all the reviews. Number one, it was easy to drive, but number two, how much better the ZTK was on the track over the ZR1 base with aero package. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that too, because that by itself, the reason for that is impressive. Jay Leno's review was a Sunday drive. Here's the thing about Jay Leno's review, guys. If you don't know this, and a lot of people don't, I've seen a lot of people talking about that review and not realizing that Jay Leno filmed that review, excuse me, at the same time that he filmed the ZR1's existence about 6 months ago. If you look at his original ZR1 video compared to the review of him driving the car, you can tell they were both filmed on the same day, and that was done about 6 months ago. So some of the stuff they say in that review is not applicable anymore. So I think at the time in that review, I don't think they even had the price cemented yet. But the biggest thing is they were talking about, how did he word it? Something about final drive validations, which if you guys don't know, those final drive validations happened months ago. But in Jay Leno's review, they hadn't happened yet because he filmed that 6 months ago. So a lot of his review was just him driving, and it was kind of like a Sunday drive. That's usually what Jay Leno's reviews are like. But just so you know, a lot of the stuff they were talking about is old news because that was filmed 6 months ago. Yeah, traction is still going to be an issue, no doubt. But at the same time, they figured out a lot more than I thought they were going to be able to figure out. Seawolf with Habanero might be the goat build. Yeah, it does look good. Me and David and Brian have been talking about this too, because there was one at the bash where it was Seawolf Gray with the Habanero interior, orange calipers, and an orange pinstripe around the thicker racing stripes. It was a great looking spec. They're definitely limiting torque in first and second. There's no doubt. There's no way you'd be able to put all that torque to the ground. Absolutely not. So they're definitely limiting it. Yeah, that's what I said. What the ZR1 delivers, being strictly rear-wheel drive, is almost surreal. Like, it really is. Like, whenever I read some of these numbers coming out, I was like, there's no way. Yeah, cameras almost always make things look slow. Yeah, so Brandon said he didn't know about the Leno thing either, and that it makes sense now. And don't take my word for it. Go back and look. If you look at his channel, the very original video when they were showing him the ZR1 before he was allowed to drive it, Mark Royce is standing there in a white shirt with a Corvette logo on it. And then 6 months later with the review, they're both wearing the same clothes. So it's like very unlikely that those were filmed on 2 different days. Yeah, Professor Corvette says they should make a dual clutch manual now. That would be challenging to drive. You would definitely need a third foot. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about this, because one thing I wanted to bring up right off the bat is that the final order cycle for the 2025 model, Corvette model, opens today, and this was done on Sunday, so it's basically this week. Now, this is it. If you guys want to get a 2025, this is it. This is your last opportunity to do so. Now, what makes this even more exciting, and I'll put exciting in quotes, is that, yeah, this is the last chance you have for this, but also don't expect to get any of the good stuff. There's still no high wings available, so no Z07s. It doesn't matter if you want carbon fiber or the carbon flash painted stuff, you're not getting it. No Z07 package, no high wing, no carbon fiber ground effects for the E-Ray, and there's actually 0 rapid blue available, and only 42 for the Z06 and 11 for the E-Ray if you want Seawolf Gray. Yeah, so this is it. This is your last week for 2025s to order them, at least. Now, one thing I did want to note is the 2025 model year was pushed to August, but this apparently happened in April. So while we were at the bash, Rick Conti, actually, him and I just had a phone conversation about this, because I was not aware that this had happened already, but he's actually the one that broke the news at the bash. And he's stating that the 2026 model year, the first ordering for the car will begin June 26th, so in about 24 days from today. And the production of the 2026 will start on August 4th. The production of the 2025s, current 2025s, ends on August 1st. So even though you have this week basically to get your 2025 order in, it could be as late as August 1st before that is complete. And then, of course, your 2026 orders will be taken here in about 24 days. So that's interesting. I wanted to put that out there because we had talked a lot about this possibly getting pushed back way further, like it did with the 2023 Z06s, and really extending 2025. So more ZR1s would be made, but that's not going to happen. So those of you who got a 2025 ZR1, you're safe. You're still at that 302 ZR1s confirmed, basically. So if you got one of those early ZR1s, there's only going to be 302 of them. You have a very rare car. Now, for the people like me who passed on the first round allocation, we could potentially order a 2026 at the end of June, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for that. So 2026 ZR1 can be ordered at the end of June, hopefully, assuming they bring out the ZR1 orders at the same time as the rest of them. Yeah. All right, let's see. Yeah. Professor Corvette says the last 2025 ordering cycle is when you're trying to find the last few edible pieces of popcorn in the bucket. It's mostly all kernels. There's definitely no carbon fiber spoilers in there, I can tell you that much. Yeah. Anthony George says, so should there be 2026s at Carlisle? I want to see the new interior. There will be 2026s there that from GM that they're going to show off, but probably it's possible you'd see some like personally owned cars, but it's going to be kind of tight. But either way, there will be some in the GM booth from GM, if nothing else. Wheeler O'Hara says he's still tickled with his 25 Red Mist Z06 with carbon flash aero. I'm with you, man. I just drove my Z06 today, and every time I get in that car and drive it anywhere, I have nothing but a smile on my face. So like I said 100 times, if there was something that came up that I couldn't get a ZR1, I am not going to cry myself to sleep. I am plenty happy with the Z06. All right, so that's a good question. A-Train says, what do you expect to happen with the pre-2026 values? I expect initially they'll probably dip, and they may stay down for a little while. But if there's anything wrong with the 2026 interior, anything, if the screen for some reason sucks, or, you know, whatever might be the case, if something in the new interior is not good, expect those 2025 values to go right back up. Wow, that's Rally Roofer says, last year Carlisle had no Z06s, 12 at the most. Are you talking about GM or just around? Because there was way more than 12 Z06s there. All right, so anyway, with that news out of the way here, I'm gonna jump into number one. If you guys haven't seen this yet, Rick Hendrick took delivery of his 2025 ZR1, VIN number 001. So his spec was black with the edge blue wheels, blue calipers, twilight blue interior, and ZTK package. So he kind of got it all here. But what's really interesting about this is that this was obviously delivered to the dealership where he picked it up. But interestingly enough, he also is getting VIN number 002 to be the same car, only a convertible. So he's getting VIN 1 and 2, both of which are going to be 2025 ZR1s. One's a coupe, one's a convertible. Now, tell me this guy doesn't have a pretty good idea that these cars are going to be worth a lot of money because they're 2025s. Tell me he doesn't know that whenever he's getting VIN 1 and 2, coupe and convertible. He obviously knows the 2025 is going to be worth something, or why would he get both of these in very complete opposite specs like that? That's definitely... Yeah, Chopper Larry says the cup holder door will keep values up. There you go. Yeah, guys, if you could please smash the thumbs up button. Looks like we got 200 people in here watching, 72 thumbs up. Let's get to 100 thumbs ups here real quick. We're going to talk a little bit more about some ZR1 stuff, and then I'm going to start hitting you with some facts that I bet you missed with the ZR1 reviews that are incredible. They're incredible. The stuff I'm about to tell you guys, if you're not sold on a ZR1, the stuff I'm about to tell you is going to sell you on a ZR1. So smash the thumbs up button. Enter in to win the forgelite $1,000 gift certificate. So if you want a forgelite wheel, any one of their wheels, you can save $1,000 on it. $10 is an entry, $50 or more is double entry. So get entered in on that as well, guys. But yeah, let's smash those thumbs ups. We can easily get to 100. Let's do that. And then we're going to get to 200 by 8:30 would be awesome. So thumbs up all the way, guys. Professor Corvette, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I would be absolutely fine waiting for a 2026 as well, is the bigger calipers, 10 piston in the front, 6 in the rear, whereas currently it's 6 in the front and 4 in the rear. Now, what that's going to do is, of course, those are all about clamping force. So it's not anything you need a bigger rotor for, but the clamping force is going to be something that's more evenly distributed and is going to help with slowing the car down in a more even kind of way. But more clamping force means more braking power. That's simple. Now, while we're talking about the brakes, I did actually grab a screenshot of the brakes from the Savage Geese review, because we've talked about this 100 times, guys, about how the rotor size itself, the rotor dimensions, the rotor diameter, I should say, is not any bigger. GM advertises the C8 ZR1 rotors as big as they've ever put on a Corvette. They're not bigger like this. They are thicker. And we've talked about this 100 times, but I actually have a picture of it now from the Savage Geese video where you can see just how thick that rotor is. It's pretty thick. I would guess that is probably pretty close to 20% thicker than what we get on the Z06. And that's already a pretty big rotor on the Z06. So this one, the actual vanes where the heat dissipation comes out of, they're different. This is a totally different design on the top than what the Z06 rotor looks like. And I would say this is probably 20% thicker. That's pretty massive. Now, there's a couple reasons for 20% thicker. There's a couple things that GM's trying to do with making this rotor thicker. Number one, like David said last week, I think it was, heat dissipation. It's going to help a lot with dissipating heat. But more importantly, is that when you throw a 10 piston caliper on the dang thing, it's going to have the clamping power. It needs to be a little bit thicker to deal with the extra clamping power. So GM knew they were going to go with a 10 piston caliper before they told anybody here, of course, because those rotors were thicker like that from day one. Even on the 2025s with only 6 piston in the front and 4 in the rear, it's still that thicker compound up front. And actually probably in the rear as well. I haven't confirmed that yet, but most likely. The YouTube reviews all got the 6 piston calipers. Right. Actually, they are, Professor Corvette. Rick Conti, in his one video when he was down at the National Corvette Museum, the car he made a video of had the 10 piston calipers on it. Now, they're not out for, people to buy, but the engineers are driving them. Easy. Anthony George says a 30K brake job. Easy. It's already 10 with the current setup. Yeah. Yeah, the 2025s will all have the 6 piston calipers. That's correct. Jay says he hears the wheels aren't the same now as the Z06. They're the same bolt pattern in the front, but in the rear, they're a slightly different bolt pattern. It's spaced out more to deal with the extra torque of the engine. Guys, let's smash the thumbs up. We're not at 100 yet. We got 200 people in here watching. Let's get to 100, guys. Smash the thumbs up. Thicker will also help with durability. Absolutely. That's the big thing with carbon ceramic rotors is if you look on the face of them, there's a minimum weight. That's how you can actually tell if the rotor needs replaced or not. It needs to be weighed. So a normal iron rotor, you'll be able to tell whenever those are bad. You'll get, vibrations in the wheel, whatever. But an actual carbon ceramic rotor needs to be weighed to see if it needs to be replaced. ZR1, I've seen the ZR1 markups right now. The highest I've seen yet was 100K over. The rear wheels are different. Yep. Different bolt pattern. So let's get into this, guys. So number one, let's do this. So over at the Mid-Engine Corvette Forum, there is a 2026 Corvette interior and exterior color chart. So this is actually from GM where they put the little colors in the books. And this is always an interesting one because in the light, at least, these are usually pretty accurate. But I think it's hilarious how many interior seating selections there are. Look at this. It's an entire page dedicated to how you can set up the interior of this car. That's definitely crazy. Yeah, so obviously the lighting on this particular one looks interesting because Hysteria Purple looks black. But if you get this under the right lighting at a dealership with the LEDs down on it, they're pretty accurate. More so than the website, at least. And that says a lot by itself. All right, so let me see here. I did get another entry for the giveaway. Guys, again, if you're interested, Wesley's in for 10 entries. If you're interested in saving $1,000 off of a set of forgelite wheels, you could potentially do that today for $10. $10 is an entry. $50 is double entries. $50 or more, I should say. I'm sorry. Anthony George says, do all dealers have those books now? It looks like most of them should, but it might still take a couple weeks for it to be rolled out. So, E-Ray says, I saw 200K dealer adjustment from a Facebook post. Jeez, that's insane. C8 Tracker doesn't show Hendrick's ZR1 was built. It's a good question. I know the video showed that it was at the dealership and delivered, but his might not fall under that same category. Brandon's Garage says, make the wife ride in the competition seat while I ride on a Cush GT1 just because I can. You know what's funny, Brandon, is on that note, I've said this a couple times to people asking me what my thoughts are on the competition seats. I actually think the GT1 seat is the least comfortable of all of them. GT1's least, GT2 is okay, and honestly, I think the competition seats are the most comfortable seats you can get in the car. That's, of course, my opinion, but that would be cool. Professor Corvette says the seats should be quick release so you can change them whenever you want. That would be an interesting design. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of the review stuff that you guys might have missed with the ZR1 reviews out there right now. So if you guys have seen the reviews, which if you haven't by now, you should check them out. Let me go over some of the things that I thought was interesting. I actually thought they were interesting enough to write them down. Now, one of them being really, really interesting here is I just recently watched the Cletus McFarlane review, and while he was talking, he said, he was talking to one of the engineers there. They said that the LT5 engine, so the LT5, which is the 755 horsepower engine in the C7 ZR1, that engine was all direct injection, and then the port injection came on under full load. So if you guys don't know what that means, basically the LT5 had dual injection. It was direct injected and also port injected. It needed that because it needed additional fuel to hit that 755 horsepower number. So it was always direct injection, and the port injection only came on under full load. So if you got your foot to the floor and you're, just trying to go as fast as you can. The C8 ZR1 is actually the opposite. It's port injection, and he said they did that because it's quieter. It doesn't tick like direct injection. So when you start the car, as soon as it gets up to temperature, it is only port injection until you're on full load, again, foot on the floor, then the direct injection comes in. So they did it the opposite way that they did with the C7 ZR1. And I thought that was really interesting because that's going to lend to increased durability, because direct injection, the inherent problem with direct injection engines is carbon buildup on the backside of the valves. There's no way to clean it off other than ripping the engine apart and cleaning it out. The port injection literally sprays that fuel right at the backside of the valve. So if you have, fuel will naturally clean the carbon off. And even if it didn't, you pull it in a fuel injector cleaner, it's going to literally be spraying it right at the back of the valves. Whereas direct injection never sees the valves. So this is interesting on a durability or a longevity standpoint, because that engine is going to last longer without carbon buildup because they're choosing to run port injection first and then direct injection second. I think that is absolutely, I don't want to say brilliant, because all they did was just flip it around from the way they were doing with the C7, but it is very, very good. I'm glad to see that happening. So that by itself was really cool. I like that particular tidbit. That was definitely something I didn't know, and I don't know anybody that did know that, because I've never heard this talked about before. So again, the new C8 ZR1 is going to keep the valves cleaner. It's going to keep everything cleaner because it's really spraying port injection. It's spraying it through the port injected fuel injectors instead of the direct injection, which just goes straight into the cylinder. Now, I think you guys did know this one, but 1,064 horsepower on these ZR1s. It will drink basically an entire tank of gas on this car in 9 minutes. So if you're going full throttle for 9 minutes straight, you will go from full to empty in 9 minutes. If you're, again, on the throttle as hard as you can be, it will drink 2 gallons per minute. So if you just push your foot to the floor and you hold it there for a minute, you're going to lose 2 gallons. I think that's insane. So this thing can literally drain the entire tank of gas in 9 minutes. Again, we talked about this before, but the 2025s, there is only scheduled to be 302 of these made. So you're going to have a very rare car at 302. Yeah, Charles, that's exactly right. That's why I said until it comes up to temperature. But it will start as direct injection until the cats get up to operating temperature. Then it goes to port injection. So once it heats up the cats, basically. Jerry, you obviously didn't hear what I said because that's a very that's not a representation of what I said at all. So direct injection has nothing to do with durability, correct? But if you're using only direct injection, it has a problem inherently with building up carbon on the backside of valves. If you're using direct injection and port injection is what you're using the majority of the time, that is going to clean the backside of those valves much more than any car that runs majority of the time in direct injection mode. So that's the full extent of what I just said. You'll driven 35 miles at the end of this 9 minutes. Yeah, pretty much. Robert says, if you floor the new ZR1 for 1 minute straight, you are a brave person. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen these reviews, like whenever they're on the gas, the numbers are skipping so massively. Like the review from Cletus McFarlane I just watched, he was at 45 miles an hour. He hits the gas and he goes from 45 to like 68. There's nothing in between. He goes 45, 68, 79, 102. Like it's pulling so fast the computer literally can't even keep up with it. So anyway, some more interesting facts about this. The early reviewers, and actually every reviewer that did this, the 0 to 60 time that they were attempting on the track, they were all hitting 2.2 seconds, 0 to 60. So GM advertises 2.3 seconds on this car. They're hitting 2.2. That's faster than GM advertises. And it's ridiculously fast considering it's nothing but a rear-wheel drive car. There is no all-wheel drive function to this car. So on rear-wheel drive, 1,064 horsepower, they're hitting 2.2 seconds to 60. Incredible. Now, where it gets even more incredible is when we compare some of these times. So this is over at the Mid-Engine Corvette forum where you can see the car and driver test results. 0 to 60, 2.2 seconds. 0 to 100, 4.5 seconds. 0 to 130, 7.1. Quarter mile, 9.5 at 149 miles an hour, which is awesome by itself. 0 to 150 miles an hour, 9.7 seconds. 0 to 170, 13.1. And 0 to 200, 23.8. Now, this is incredible by itself, but let me show you why it's even more incredible than you might think. And all that takes is a real quick Google of the Lamborghini Revuelto and what its speeds are. Because if we look at these, suddenly the C8 ZR1 speeds look a lot more impressive. So Lamborghini Revuelto at its absolute bare price minimum, $612,000, $608,000. You add some options, you're easily hitting $800,000. $800,000 versus $200,000 of the C8 ZR1. Now, let's see, 0 to 60, a hair faster, or basically the same, 2.2 seconds, 0 to 60. Let's look at 0 to 100. 0 to 100 miles an hour on a Lamborghini Revuelto, which is a 1,000 horsepower car, but it is also hybrid. 4.6 seconds. The ZR1, 4.5 seconds. It actually does it a tenth of a second faster than the Lamborghini does. Okay, so still not sold? Maybe. Okay. Let's look at 170. The ZR1 does it 0 to 170 miles an hour, 13.1 seconds. 13.1. The Lamborghini, 13.2. Again, a tenth of a second faster than the Lamborghini does. Now, I would show you how fast the Lamborghini hits 0 to 200, but it doesn't hit 200. or if it does, it's not noted here. So the Corvette is literally 1/10 of a second faster on every one of those marks than a Lamborghini Revolto, which is roughly $400,000 to $600,000 more than the C8 ZR1. That's true. Professor Corvette says it's not just about the performance, it's about the availability of a good purple. Lamborghini really has nailed a good purple, 100%. Their purple is perfect. Those results also include 0.2 seconds taken off for every time a 1 foot rollout. Yeah. This is something to really pay attention to here, guys. In the Haggerty review, they actually did this as well. They raced a Revolto and a Ferrari. I think it was an SF90. I can't remember if it was or not, but it was a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, and they drag raced them, and the Corvette won. And the Corvette barely beat the Lamborghini, which is where the 1/10 of a second comes in. The Corvette is 1/10 of a second faster than a Lamborghini Revolto. Yeah, it was an SF90. That's what I thought. It's incredible. You're literally talking about a hypercar, and Chevy is literally destroying other hypercars that are worth far more money. I don't know. But anyway, some more interesting tidbits about the ZR1 that I found from these reviews. Guys, again, smash the thumbs up if you can. We got 200 people watching, 116 thumbs ups. Let's keep going with those. I'm going to give away $1,000 here in a second. Looks like we're still good there. Nobody else has donated, but guys, every $10 is a donation. The Savage Geese guys, in their review, they were hitting GT4 track records on the Circuit of Americas, doing nothing but lead follows. Now, these are not professional race car drivers, but they're pretty seasoned. They know how to drive a car. But they were breaking records by just following the guy in front of them. Like, that's how fast this freaking car is. You get in it, and if you have any idea how to drive it, you're breaking records just by following the dude in front of you. It's incredible. Yeah, both hybrids. That's exactly it. And the SF90 and the Revolto, like I said, both hybrid cars. And the ZR1's doing it better. Strictly rear-wheel drive. Incredible. Oh, and the hypercar guys hate it. Yeah, absolutely. That's why the review that we were talking about earlier is so negative, because they just hate it because it's American. All-wheel drive is great for anything over 700 horsepower. I don't know. The ZR1's saying, nope, that ain't true. Because the ZR1's doing it without hybrid. ZR1 is 1,064 horsepower. It's 1,000 horsepower. And it's doing it all rear-wheel drive and beating a Lamborghini Revolto, which is a hybrid car. Yeah. Jay Brazelton says, those exotics are not worth more. They just cost more. And I didn't always believe that, but more and more nowadays, I am starting to believe that. So some more interesting tidbits. The intake on the car. And I know Brandon and David are going to love this, because they're no doubt going to find a way to paint those things, which I hope they do, because I'm not a giant fan of the blue looking intake on the car. But the intake is 60% smaller. 60% smaller than an LT6 intake, because they wanted less air volume. Basically, they wanted the turbos to do all of the work and literally jam it into the engine. They don't want it messing around with sitting in the intake. So it's 60% smaller. When you pop the trunk on the ZR1, one of the very first things that I noticed as well is the intake actually looks small in the engine bay, and I was wondering why. They wanted it that way. The turbos do the work. They don't need a bunch of air just sitting in there. So 60% smaller, that's pretty crazy, because the intake on the Z06 was already not huge, but I guess it was significantly bigger, over twice as big. Definitely interesting. Yeah. Did the ZR1 leave all the competitors in the dust? Pretty much. All right, Alex, I got you in for 10 entries as well. Let me get that on there for you, Alex. All right, so Alex is in for 10. Again, guys, we're going to be doing this drawing here very soon. So if you want to get in on the giveaway of $1,000 from forgelite, make sure you are doing $10 as an entry, $50 or more as double entries. But moving on, ZR1. The one thing that I don't necessarily love about the ZR1 is that it is going to weigh a little bit more. I've heard numbers ranging from 160 pounds to 210 pounds heavier than the Z06. Now, the thing about that is, of course, it's going to weigh more. These turbos are gigantic, like Mike said. It's 76 millimeter turbos, but they put 2 of them on there. Now, they said the 76 millimeter turbo is the biggest turbo mounted to a production car yet, and they decided to do 2 of them. So it should be heavier between the turbos and the additional cooling that they need to keep those turbos cool and the engine in general cool. It's roughly 160 to 200 pounds heavier. So let's see what else we got here. Okay, so the suspension. This is something I did want to talk a lot about. In the Savage Geese video, they talked a lot about the suspension with Brian, I can't remember his last name, Brian Wallace. They said that the ZTK suspension is basically identical to the Z07 car suspension. So if you have a C8, Z06, Z07 package car, that suspension is basically identical to what the ZTK suspension is, which is roughly 10% stiffer than the non-ZTK suspension or the non-Z07, Z06 suspension. So it is basically identical to a Z07. The non-ZTK is basically identical to the Z06. So you can get that softer ride out of the Z06, or you can go with the stiffer ZTK and get the 10% stiffer. The reason they did this, Brian Wallace flat out said, the reason they did this was because they didn't want to reinvent the wheel. The C8, Z06, Z07 package car already did so well on the track with its suspension. There was not really any reason to revamp it. It was going to do the same job with the C8 ZR1. So the Z06 is already a very track capable car. They're going to mirror that same kind of thing with the ZR1. Makes perfect sense. But I thought it was interesting to know that the suspension is effectively the same. It's not different dampers. It was slightly updated dampers. So whenever he said that, he made it very clear that it's not a totally different shock. It was just little things here and there, but effectively the same thing out of the Z07 car. So the way he worded it was very little tweaks and balance and tweaks and things here and there. And the mag ride control, basically the mag ride controller, was slightly updated as well. But for the most part, the easiest way to put it into an understanding is that it's the same as the Z07 package. Which again, really speaks volumes to the C8 Z06 with the Z07 package and how capable of a car that is. No, Bill, the frame's not changed. The frame's the same. The dual clutch transmission is slightly beefed up based on the Cletus McFarland review that I watched. They beefed up some of the internals, but nothing crazy. But on the inside of the engine is where things are definitely different. They use a lot more forged titanium parts and a lot thicker forged titanium parts over the LT6. So obviously it has to be able to deal with the boost. It has to be able to deal with the additional torque. All of that stuff has to be able to be handled. 10 seconds Z06 says the stiff Z07 suspension is so good. I only drive in track suspension mode at the highest stiffness. Handles like a dream. I just put those Z07 springs on my car, and I'll tell you guys I have a full review coming out of how I feel about the Z07 springs after owning the Z06. And it actually blew my mind how much better, yes, better, my car rides with the Z07 springs than it did with the Z06 springs. I was expecting to get in it and have a much stiffer ride and blah, blah, blah. If it's stiffer at all, I can't really even tell. I think when you lower the car, I think the Z07 springs handle that car being lowered much better than a Z06 spring does. Because I drive it now and it feels like a totally different car. It feels like it takes turns better. It soaks up bumps more. I'll have a full video coming out on that. But if you guys don't have a Z07 and you have a Z06, there is a pretty big difference between the two, and it's only 10%. But it's a noticeable 10%. And I feel like the 10% handles being lowered better if you're a guy who lowers their cars. Correct. ZR1 has forged titanium parts. That's right. They're also thicker parts than the Z06 or LT6 engine. Hanover says, when do you think you'll get a drive? I'm going to get a drive probably pretty early on. I don't want to say with who just yet because I helped somebody actually get a ZR1 and this person said that I would be able to drive it pretty early on. So I'll probably have a review or at least a drive out with it pretty early after this person gets it. Yeah, Z07 is night and day. And it's weird because I've driven a Z06 and a Z07 car before I owned one. I drove a Z06 and then a Z07 back to back, and I really couldn't tell a difference in the suspension. It felt the same. But now after driving my Z06 for as long as I have and putting Z07 springs on it, it is absolutely night and day. Professor Corvette says, how does the Z07 in Tour compare to the non-Z07 in track? Honestly, the Z07 in Tour I don't think is uncomfortable at all. It is stiff, of course. But I've driven the ZL1 1LE Camaro. That is far stiffer than a Z07 spring car. So there are levels of stiffness here with this stuff. And in Tour on Z07 springs, I don't have any problem with it. I could daily drive that car. Now, when you put it in track, it firms up quite a bit. You feel the difference. But even on my Z06 with just the Z06 springs, not the Z07 springs, the track was still pretty stiff. So, I mean, when I say 10%, the springs are 10% stiffer on a Z07 package car. That's not that much. And it's really not something you're going to notice unless you're really pushing the car to the edge, which is why I'm surprised I noticed it at all when I drove my car. And I noticed it the second I pulled out of my garage, because my garage has a lip and the car dips down on it. And the way it dipped and rebounded, it felt way better than it did with the Z06 springs. It's very strange. Correct. They are not MagRide. That's right. They are the special shocks from GM. I can't remember the name of them now. DSSTs, something like that. I gotta find out now. DSSV. I was close. Yeah. So they're not MagRide shocks. They don't have adjustable ride sensitivities, but they're pretty stiff. The only other thing I want to note on the things that I found on the ZR1 reviews was again, like I said earlier, that the rotors are thicker. We've talked about this in the past, but I finally got a picture of it actually showing how the rotor's thicker. Again, up on the screen here if you guys haven't seen it. Bill Miller says, yes, the C8 ZR1 frame is stiffer than the C8 Z06 ZR1 suspension. I've not heard anything saying that the ZR1 frame is stiffer than the Z06, Bill. Where did you hear that at? ZR1 suspension is basically the same as the Z06's suspension from right out of the Savage Geese video, they were talking to Brian Wallace about the suspension setup. They said there was slight changes made to the dampers, but for the most part, it was the same as the Z07 springs. Or suspension, I mean. Bill, if you have somewhere where they said the frame is stiffer, I'd like to see that, because I don't know how they could have changed the frame at all on the car. I don't think that I'm pretty sure they didn't. Let's see. We got 180 people in here watching, 123 thumbs ups. Guys, let's smash the thumbs ups. Let's get those thumbs ups rolling if you can, please. It really helps the channel. And we're going to be doing a forgelite drawing here in a second where you can win $1,000 gift certificate. And I'm going to be doing one every week for the month of June, which means you could potentially win $4,000 towards your set of forgelite wheels. And I'm going to have a new set coming here very soon that are made out of magnesium. Literally are going to weigh less than the carbon fiber wheel offering from GM and be much stronger and have a much better fitment. So they're the real deal, guys. forgelite makes some of the highest quality wheels I've ever seen. You could save $1,000 on them for a donation of $10. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Brian Wallace said that the frame and everything was the same. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Elijah, when you do the plant tour, it says that the ZR1 and Z06, all of the frames were the same as even the GT3R car. They were literally using the same frames. Hot Rod Todd, the members will get a free entry on the last week of June. So the last Monday of June is when members will get free entries. How much do I want for my current set? Shoot me an email. I will be selling those, but I'm not sure exactly how much yet. So send me an email if you're really interested. Yeah, GM actually said they didn't want the car uncomfortable for street driving, so they left the suspension alone. And honestly, the Z07 setup is not uncomfortable. I think that's exactly how a car like that should ride. Riptide Rick is in for one entry. Okay. Got you in there, Rip. And again, we got 180 people watching, 124 thumbs up. Guys, smash the thumbs up if you could. Really helps. But that looks like just about it. I think we're going to start setting up the wheel here. Chopper Larry says the trans is beefed up for the ZR1 for the extra torque. Yep. And the Z06 would be more of a drag than loss of power, right? So obviously with increased torque, they had to beef up the transmission. They had to beef up some of the internals of the engine. They had to also change the bolt pattern of the rear wheels to stop it from shearing the lug studs right off. So that's because of the torque. Things to help with the heat that the new turbos produce, of course, that's why you lose the frunk. All that additional cooling up front is needed to keep those turbos cool because those are big turbos. Yeah, and that too. Depending on whoever's car comes first here. But I could come down to Texas. That would be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Kevin Horan, I do have you for the wheel. I got you in there, I think, with 10 entries, if I recall correctly. Let's see what you got. Yep, got you for 10. And I got Omid for 20. Thanks, guys, again. Yep, I think I got everybody in there. So we're going to be doing that here very soon here, guys, but let's see. Got some questions. Yeah, so I drove my Z07 from Colorado Springs to Vegas and in sport mode all the way with a bad hockey back and no problems at all. So that is really that. I mean, honestly, if I had to daily drive the car, I absolutely could. The Z07 springs are comfortable enough to do that. I don't think that the Z06 springs weren't comfortable either, to be honest with you. They were fine as well, but I feel like the Z07 springs handle being lowered, like my car is, better than the Z06 springs do. I feel like the Zora battery will be upgraded and have more power than what the E-Ray. That's the current rumor, is that the E-Ray pack that they use currently for, I think, 160 horsepower additional will be doubled. So it will be somewhere around 300 to 320. So it is going to be more hybrid power, but also more internal combustion power out of the rear as well. Yeah, I did remember hearing that, but that's not what Brian Wallace said in that Savage Geese review, where the ZR1 non-ZTK suspension was actually softer than the Z06. He made it sound like it was like the comparable to the Z06. It was 10% softer than the ZTK package car. Just like the Z07 package car is 10% stiffer than the non-Z07. Absolutely, man. I plan on it. Come down to Texas and break that car in right. Let's do it. Stay down there for a couple days and we'll get it past break-in and make a bunch of videos of it out. I'm totally down for that. It is, Professor Corvette. I actually just changed it right before we got on here. Yeah. Jim Middleton says Z07 and comp seats extremely comfortable for me. That's me. I have the Z07 springs in the car now, and I would not buy a C8 without competition seats. So I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah, and Bill, I'll be honest with you. That I actually said that in my video that I have coming up here, is that I did not do the magnetic ride calibration yet. So that might be still part of it. But the combination I have currently with the Z06 mag ride calibration and the Z07 springs, I really like the way it rides. So I'm almost kind of not sure if I want to do the mag ride calibration now. But DSC, the DSC Sport controller, if you guys remember, I put one of those in my C7 Z06 back in the day. I might wait for them to bring one out because they have a lot of technology behind that stuff. And I think I loved it in my C7 Z06, and I think it would ride even better in the C8 Z06. Yeah, the way the ZR1 was pulling on the Revolto in the Haggerty video was awesome. It was crazy, but I mean, like I showed earlier, the ZR1 is literally a tenth of a second faster than the Lamborghini, and all for about $400,000 to $600,000 less. All right, guys, we have 175 watching, 129 thumbs up. Let's smash those thumbs up. I think I'm going to go ahead and start setting up the wheel here so we can get our winners for tonight. So again, guys, let's see where we're at. I'm going to give you 6 more minutes to get your entries in. If you guys want to get in for the giveaway tonight, I got everything caught up, everything cleared out. So if you want to get in for this $1,000 gift certificate from forgelite, you can get in for $10 is an entry, or $50 or more is double entries. I'm adding them all in currently, so if you want to get in, now's your chance. I'm setting up the wheel. Yep, that means putting people's names in the wheel and putting them at certain weights depending on how much they've donated. Revolto means slower than ZR1 in Italian. I like it. Yeah, Red C806, you're probably right. And I mean, this isn't going to be, by no means, this is not my way of saying that you should buy a ZR1 instead of a Lamborghini. I'm just putting it in perspective. What you're getting for that $200,000, that is a lot for a Corvette. But what you're getting is a car that is faster than a Lamborghini Revolto, and it is significantly cheaper. So if you want to buy a Corvette and you want to have something to kind of hold over the owners of the Revolto's heads, now you have it. All right, so 5 more minutes. If you guys want to get into it now, I'm about to run this spin this wheel. I got everybody entered in already. Yeah, as of right now, I wouldn't even look at allocations for this car until the 2026 allocations start coming out, because the 2025 allocations are already done. 302 ZR1s, that's it. If you haven't gotten it already, you're not going to get it. There it is. Jeremy, 2020 Matrix 8, says he has no desire to get a Revolto anymore. He was planning on getting one, but now he doesn't. And I mean, honestly, if you're a car guy, if you're a pure car guy, you're a pure... It doesn't matter what brand is on the hood or what label is on the hood. The ZR1 is the better buy. It is the smarter buy, because you're getting a car that is actually faster than a Revolto, more capable, more comfortable, and more option packed. The only thing you're not getting is that exclusiveness of a Lamborghini, but you're also saving $400,000 to $600,000. So it makes sense. It really does. But if you're a guy that has a ton of money and you just want that name, that badge, then yeah, you're still going to buy a Lamborghini. I get it. Yeah, you could get 3 ZR1s for the price of... Boy, that really puts it in perspective. You could buy 3 ZR1s and almost 4, depending on how you would option out the Revolto, for the price of what that thing would cost. Professor Corvette says, Justin, I really hope you get the Mountain Dew green. I mean, Roswell green. I don't know that I'm going to. I need to see that color in person on a car before I make my decision, because a lot of the colors I've seen on the car on the internet, they don't look good. I like the color in person at the bash on that little speed shape kind of thing, but it just doesn't look like that in person. Okay, let's spin the wheel. You guys ready? I don't think I got any more entries here, so time to spin the wheel. Yeah, that kind of sucks too. No green stitching, nothing that really matches the green exterior for the interior. But anyway, guys, let's spin this wheel, see who wins. Let's do it. Here we go. Oh, I think Jay got it. There it is. Jay Brazelton, you won today. I think that's the second example of the person who donated the most winning on the wheel. No, I had a little bit of a cough fit there, Bill. But anyway, Bill or Jay, shoot me an email. You know the email, horsepowerobsessed@gmail.com, and I will get you your gift certificate. So congratulations. You can just save $1,000 off a set of forgelite wheels. And like I said, guys, going to have $1,000 next week, and $1,000 the week after that, and another $1,000 after that. So that's what you can expect for the next 3 weeks. Big congratulations, Jay Brazelton. I know he's donated a lot, and I think this is the first time you've won, Jay. So shoot me an email. We'll get you taken care of. But anyway, guys, thank you all for the support tonight. Big thumbs up if you haven't yet. Looks like we hit 134, which is pretty good. Remain obsessed, always. I like it. Yeah, guys, I'll see you same time, same place next Monday night. Stay obsessed.